12 years ago, I was on the very same Piccadilly tube that got bombed by Jermaine Lindsay. Cutting a very long story short, had I gone through my OCD that morning and sat on the first carriage, I probably wouldn't be here today. I went through that experience, I went through that ordeal, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. Literally, the bomb went, the train left the King's Cross, and 10 seconds in the tunnel towards King's Cross, the bomb went off, and it was the biggest explosion and the biggest bang I've ever heard. And literally, the train shook. Slowly, you had thick black smoke filling up the carriages. People were screaming, people were shouting, they were trying to break the glass and the doors. And I remember still taking off my blazer and covering my face from the smoke. I survived that experience. I needed support, I needed family support, I needed counselling. But it made a huge difference for me because it was that experience that basically led me to do what I'm doing now in terms of specifically working with the Muslim community to tackle radicalisation and extremism.
It's interesting that it was the train that Jermaine Lindsay blew up. He was a Muslim convert. Now, we're working on the assumption that Khalid Masood, who was born Adrian Elms, is also a convert to Islam. In your experience of dealing with people who could be swayed towards extremism, do converts to Islam, are they more prone to that?
I would say I have personally myself, and having travelled across the UK, specifically working with the Muslim community, I have tended to see a pattern specifically with converts in terms of the vulnerability centred around them, and some tend to get drawn in and engulfed by a very extreme version of Islam. And we saw that with the case of Jermaine Lindsay, and potentially now with Khalid Masood being a convert himself. So we've got some questions to ask in terms of those who are converted or who do convert, in terms of how they are being drawn and sucked into an extreme version, and work potentially around that in terms of them not being drawn into that type of pathway.
I think a lot of people will think, actually, these people who carry out these attacks are just using what they see as their faith as, frankly, an excuse. The two aren't necessarily connected. They're just hell-bent on criminality, really.
There is that element of criminality, but then actually, if you look at the cases, there is the element of being brainwashed, particularly by groups. So, for example, by groups like ISIS and other groups out there, and even with far-right extremism, being brainwashed by groups that are out there that exist.
What would you say all those people who were caught up in Wednesday's attack, not just the 50 or so who were injured, but the dozens more, hundreds more potentially, who witnessed something or be feeling scared and shaken up as a result? What can they learn from your experience in having to deal with what they've gone through?
Please don't be scared. I would also urge Londoners, and I'd urge the UK as well, that we need to come together as a community. 12 years ago, on July the 7th, that's exactly what we did. I remember even in the carriage helping the injured and helping those who were pregnant. We came together as Londoners and we got over 7/7. Hopefully this will be the case with this attack. If those divides are created, then we could feed into the extremist narrative. So please don't be scared. Please, let's unite. We are one London. And I mean, that's what makes us beautiful. We are one of the most diverse cities in the world, and we can't be defeated by terrorism in any way.